Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. We don't see too much happening on the shorter time frame, therefore wanted to take a look at the so-called death cross which is coming for Bitcoin. Yeah, a lot of people panicking. The weekly death cross is apparently the narrative now. Yeah, we've got two of these here on the chart. The current conversations are all around the weekly moving averages. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter if you use the EMA or the simple moving average. So you've got the 50-week moving average here, which I have highlighted in yellow, and we've got the 200-week moving average here highlighted in blue. And the current discussions are all around, oh dear, we are gonna see a death cross for Bitcoin, and that is indeed the case. That could happen. That is most likely going to happen if the current price stays below these moving averages. And what does it mean? What is a death cross? What you often hear people talk about is the 50 and the 200 period moving averages. Oftentimes talks are around the daily ones, but this time it's around the weekly, because on the daily we've had a death cross a while ago. Let's actually take a look at that first. And what does it actually mean, death cross? I mean, it's nothing I put too much emphasis on, but it's certainly an indicator that is worth knowing about, because it can be an indicator for something more bearish going on in this case. Here we, for example, had a death cross, and that is the daily, the 200-day and the 50-day moving average. They had a so-called death cross here, that was in January 22. This is when the shorter time frame moving average, in this case the 50-day, crosses below the 200-day, and it happened here in January. And you know that at the time we were massively bearish already, so it was just a confirmation at the time of our view anyway. In fact, it was actually a little bit later than when we turned bearish on this channel. We turned bearish very much early in December with the, I think we had the correct view if you look at the chart. However, they can also be fake outs or fake moving averages. You could say fake crosses. The death cross obviously is called when the shorter time frame moving average crosses below the longer one. So in this case, the 50-day crosses below the 200. But you had here a so-called golden cross that was in September 21. That was the opposite. I mean, you could argue it worked out, right? Because it did precede a move up from around 45 to 70k roughly. Here, I would say this didn't work out in June. This was a bit June 21. It was a bit crisscrossing here. But certainly, oftentimes when it happens, it is an important indicator at the beginning of a trend. We had it here after the March 2020 low. We had a golden cross as well. Here you could argue, I mean, this was before the last bear, or within the last bear market, 2018. I would argue it crossed a bit too late, that death cross. When did the death cross happen? The death cross here happened actually after the price had already dropped 52%. Yeah, and then from the moment it happened, that was in March 2018, it dropped another 67%. Yeah, but the difference is, here, it happened actually 50% in the crash already. In the current bear market, it actually happened quite quickly if you compare it. Much higher. So the price had only dropped 30%. But this is the daily. Now we're talking about the weekly, so I'm gonna change it to the weekly. You could argue the weekly is a more relevant indicator as the longer time frame, the higher time frame. Indicators on higher time frames are oftentimes, they do have a little bit more weight. So, and what do we have here? The situation is you have in white the 200-week moving average, in yellow the 50-week moving average. They are probably going to cross bearish unless Bitcoin is going to move up in the next few weeks strongly. I believe it is the first time that we have actually a death cross here on the weekly. I think we didn't have it before. No, we didn't. You see, since this indicator started, which was basically in June 15, because before that you didn't have a 200-week moving average anyway, they were always in a bullish situation. So the shorter time frame moving average, 50, was always above the 200. So it is the first time that we get possibly this death cross on the weekly. and people panicking about it. And, it is certainly something psychological, but it's a very lagging indicator. I mean, we've already dropped like, what is it, 70% for Bitcoin? Yeah, 64, no, yeah, pretty much 78, nearly 80%, right? 75% or something. So I wouldn't put too much weight into it, but my view. I'm still waiting for another Bitcoin low, but I don't think this will cause suddenly, when it happens, suddenly a crash of 50%. I don't think so. If it does, then it's probably just coincidence, because we're waiting for a drop anyway, and we never looked at this so-called death cross before. But it's certainly something that that is not very bullish. However, these indicators, I always take them with a pinch of salt. Indicators are always, it depends on what you look at, yeah, and they can often be contradicting each other. I'll show you one example. We look at the 2-week chart. We open where's the MACD gone? Where's the MACD gone? Let me open the MACD. I think it's gone. Let me open the indicator tab and MACD. So we're on the 2-week, and what you can see is that on the 2-week here, we're most likely going to get a bullish crossover on the MACD. Yeah, that happened the last time after March 2020, and it led to a massive price increase. And it happened before that, after the 2018 bear market, and it was basically, yeah, you could say the first rally after the bear market. And then we never had a bullish cross before, really. Yeah, possibly you could go back and have a look at these, but I would nearly ignore what happened before 2016. But certainly the more relevant price timeframes here, yeah, or in the more relevant years where we had more trading volume, whenever we had a bullish crossover on the 2-week, it was very bullish. And let's go to the weekly. On the weekly, we already had that bullish crossover here in July 22. Yeah, but the 2-week is certainly something that whenever it happened, it did lead to a rally. So I don't want to, say, the bear market is over. Absolutely not. Because first of all, we don't have that bullish crossover yet. But what I'm telling you is, on the weekly, we have a potential death cross coming, a weekly, which sort of never happened before. So, you don't really know what the effects are. And, I don't really put too much weight on it in my own TA, because I'm mainly looking at the Elliott waves. And the indicators are just indicating. They are lagging, yeah. Price action is key here. So they are really just indicators based on price action. They are more of a psychological thing. But on the 2-week, we have possibly a bullish crossover on the MACD coming. I mean, that is actually quite positive. So that's certainly something. And then if we go to the monthly chart, here we have a reduction in negative momentum on the MACD on the monthly. That is quite significant. If that carries on like that, it will eventually bring the price up. I did that before. Also here, yeah, similar situation to the 2-week chart on the MACD. And if anybody's been, with us for a long time, you remember that in March in January, February, I raised my significant concerns here about the MACD on the monthly, that it was still so high. At the time, I was very bearish on Bitcoin, but I still didn't want to believe that, it would take like a year to come down. Well, it did. So, yeah. But, yeah, we were already bearish, but I raised concerns because I hoped for a fast completion of the bear market. And I said Bitcoin needs to go below 30K or 29K, which it did. But then the MACD, I made you aware that ideally this needs to come down lower, because the lower this goes, the more substantial can the rally be, the next rally. This indicator needs to reset on the monthly. Had we completed the bear market already, let's say in April or May, this would have still been quite high, and then it would have been exhausted quite quickly on the way up. The good thing is this is coming down now quite strongly, but we are seeing a reduction in negative momentum. So it is slowing down that negative momentum. But yeah, that's my view here about that death cross. So, it's nothing where we can say, this is causing another drop or anything. It is very, very lagging because it happens on the weekly chart. So I'd be rather careful with that. Wouldn't panic at all. Price action is key. We're waiting for another low anyway, so nothing really changes. And the signs on the 2-week chart are actually quite positive if you look at the MACD and the bullish crossover coming. So yeah, I won't really dive into the lower level price action here because nothing really has changed. I just wanted to join the conversation around that weekly death cross. And here, this is still unchanged from my last video, so there's no additional price action. And I think if one forecast was correct, it was the forecast that I made in my last video that not much is going to happen over the next few days. But still wanted to talk about that death cross, take the opportunity while not much is going on. And yeah, here still ideally I'd like to see another dip into that white area. To be honest, I think that is getting not too unlikely, especially the longer this sideways movement takes and the longer we don't really break out substantially here impulsively. It would be quite nice to get another dip into the white support area and then to go up from there. But I did explain that all in previous videos, don't really want to carry on with that. Just repeat what I said in the previous video. So feel free to check out the last one from yesterday. It basically includes everything. But I'll do another update later. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.